Hello everybody, Darren here, and welcome back to episode 19 in my second Let's Play series for Anno 1800. In the last few episodes, we've been busy down in Mbesa, and we've just completed the storyline there, which is quite significant, because we now have full access to the Research Institute and the Scholar tier of residences. Today we're going to begin a large redevelopment of Swords, our capital island, and build out a sort of mega campus to welcome our new students. And this is going to be a dramatic overhaul of the island that I've been talking about and teasing for a few episodes now. So much so that in order to create the Lebensraum we need, I believe they say in Germany, for the Scholars, we're going to have to get rid of every single farmer residence and every single farmer tier 1 production building that goes along with it. Dramatic, I know, and instead we're going to bring everything in through our docklands to sustain the worker population and those above. That's going to be the first phase. Second phase is going to be to build the actual Scholar residences themselves. The amount of bricks we're going to need to do that is somewhere around 3,000. So we're going to have to get to work setting up trade routes, delivering an enormous amount of bricks our way. We're also going to have to increase the output of our soap trade in order to sustain our docklands. In between episodes, the only thing that's changed is I've got some extra engineer households, a couple extra investors, and then refilled and repopulated the artisan cliffs that we have over there. So the economy is relatively stable, although I don't think we're quite hitting the full demand yet for all of our investors and engineers. So it might dip and fluctuate a little bit, but economy's pretty good nonetheless. Just really quickly, while we've hit 1,000 research points, I thought it'd be fun just to build one Scholar residence and just have a look at what it looks like, what they need, talk you through the Scholars a little bit, as we then work to set up kind of production chains for them while we kind of get building as well. Alright, let's have a look. So, Scholars, a new tab down here on our menu. We've got 15 available residences. That's because you get 10 for free. And then we researched the campus extension permit, giving us 5 more. Binyam wants us to build these. He says, Emperor Katima suggests you realize Binyam's dream of a research institute in the old world. He too believes the work of international scholars will be of great benefit to your business prospects, as well as a magnificent moment in the history of science. So we have to build 10. Now before we, actually I'm just going to tease you a little bit. Before we do that, got to set up a trade route from here to here. We're going to load up on bricks, because it's got loads. There we go. That's shift click to do that. People told me in the comments, really appreciate that one. Now shift click this doesn't seem to work. Or at least I'm not doing it right. There we go, that's why. And then let's grab just a bunch of ships, it doesn't even matter. Just get a load of people doing this, because we need to just set it up right now. Basically, I want to bring all those bricks straight to Swords and keep them there. Okay, good. Bricks are on the way, so we don't have to worry about that.
If you pop off now, you'll be back in time for tennis.
A destruction quest for money? No thank you, Archibald.
Now, you oughtn't waste people.
Okay. Alright, let's get our first Scholar residence and have a look at it. So the Scholar residence itself costs 15 bricks, 10 windows, 12 steel, and 10 wood. You might be like, Darren, you've only got 15 possible buildings, 15 by 15, it's not that much bricks. What are you talking about? You'll see. We're going to need a lot of bricks, just trust me on that one.
You reached a new milestone.
And there we go, the Age of Intellect. And in the Age of Intellect, there is no room for farmers. No offense, that sounds so harsh. I don't mean it that way at all.
Here constitutes a major breakthrough. Don't hesitate to ask if you need any assistance.
I don't need any assistance, but I'm going to say yes just in case he gives you something. I don't actually know if he does or not, so just in case. But anyway, the farms are going to be industrialized, and the farms are largely going to move to Crown Farms, right? The place where space really isn't an issue. Obviously, I'm sure many people would say, well, you should build your palace out here. You should build your Scholars out here. You know, Scholars take a 4x4 area. It's bigger than a regular house. Look at all the space and Lebensraum you have out here.
Able to accommodate more brains from all over.
Another player.
But everybody does that. You know, everybody pretty much does that. So what I want to do... Oh my god, let me talk! I understand. Okay, I guess I just activated the tutorial for him, and then there's just other stuff going on. I get it. I get it. I get it. Arthur and Benty are fighting. I get it. I think you can actually customize your notifications. Maybe I should do that. Anyway, we've got all the room out here in the world. I get it. But, you know, it's more fun to challenge ourselves, build something different. Everybody builds out here.
Barber covered the 4th volume of the Encyclopedia Universalis in shaving foam. and I had to rescue it. Why not donate it to the Research Institute?
The Encyclopedia Universalis 6? Is that a reference to like EU4 or something? It's 6 though, right? It wasn't EU4, it was EU6. He said collect it, do we? Collect it? Where is he? Oh, it's right there at the back.
Marvelous. We could start looking into acquiring any of the identified subjects.
Donate it to science. Alright, let's go. So we can do that really quickly. Oh, wait a sec, he said donate it to science? Right. So we'll have to go in here, open up our items, check the cultural item I guess we just got, is it? Maybe I'll just search it actually, we have so many items. There we go. So control D to donate.
People I can rely on.
We are all eager to actually make a start on something. We do have enough research points to invest in a research field, do we not?
We do. So let's get another thing.
Didn't think I'd forgotten you, did you?
We'll just go with technological advancement, invest 600 points, and I'm just doubling down on maritime technology to make our ships move around faster, so that's fine. Alright. So, oh, he said craft any item. We'll get back to that. That's fine. We don't have to do any of this now. So basically, we've got our scholars. We can have a look at what they actually need now. So scholars are an interesting bunch. They can build up to 120 in a household. They're kind of a crazy way of building a population quite fast in some regards, because it's just, you know, even though they do take up more space. Actually, yeah, I wonder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 tiles extra. But you get, like, way, way more. So I think they are more space efficient and increased than these guys. I don't know, I'd have to work that one out. But anyway, and you can get things to actually increase the residences. In fact, we have items that will do that. But the most interesting thing about the scholars is their needs and happiness and what it gives you. Now, everybody knows students don't pay for shit, right? And instead, they'll generate research. So their happiness, unlike every other residence in the game, doesn't give you money. They give you research points. Now, research points will tick all the way up to 1,000. That's our limit. And it's just always going to passively build from the elders that we have and then from the scholars. And this is per minute, right? So we're getting 93 per minute right now. 90 from elders, 3 from scholars. So 93 per minute. So it's basically like if you want to run through the tech tree faster, you just make these guys happier and get more of them. Not only that, but getting more of them, when we get to 500, we're going to get a limit increase of 1,000 storage points. So we're able to store more research points when we get 500, and then so on and so forth. It'll build up and up and up. The reason we want to do that is because eventually, in here, there's major discoveries which take 5,000 points. I'm not sure if it ever really gets higher than that. It kind of does. If you want to make items, legendary items, for instance, we wanted to make this item, it would cost us 20,000. So that means you obviously have to have at least the storage to spend 20,000, right? You can't, like, dump points into the building or anything. It's all about what you've got. So that's where that's the entire gameplay. And if you got 20,000, I think that might be the upper limit of what you need to basically make any item, as long as you've researched them and found them. So that's kind of how scholars work. Now, quite an interesting bunch, like I said, quite an interesting building. I really love the look of it, but unlike other buildings like artisans or workers or anything like that, they don't really have any ornaments that really fit them. And the way they're built, they actually have this like concrete line around them, which actually blends, I guess, with the Research Institute itself. But that means that when you build multiple houses, it looks like there's actually little streets going between them anyway. So you don't really need ornaments because they have their own, you know, benches and trees and things like that. So you kind of save space in a way that way. I don't think they add attractiveness. I feel like they almost should because they do look really, really nice. So let's have a look at the needs. They need a university. They need, which is actually kind of weird. They don't actually need to be anywhere near the Research Institute. They just need a university. So you can build them way somewhere else if you wanted to. But I'm going to keep them roughly together. So anyway, university, canned food is their first consumable. Tailored suits, power, seafood stew, telephones, and a radio tower. Now, fun fact, I've never built telephones or a radio tower, so I've never gone past 4,000 scholars ever, just in my own time playing the game. So that'll be all new for me, which is exciting. For their happiness, they're going to need leather boots, rum, bowler hats, hibiscus tea, tapestries, clay pipes, and gramophones. Obviously, a lot of this feeding into the Embessen items and such. Alright, so before we demolish our entire farmer tier residence, the first thing we got to do is open up... Ah, damn it, it's a shame that he's here right now. We got to open this up and see what we're going to end up needing. in terms of providing for our bottom tier. So we're going to need fish, we're going to need schnapps, and we're going to need bread. We're not going to need sausages. That's going to be delivered. It's already set up on Lusk and been delivered that way, so that's okay. Now we have to figure out the amounts, okay? So let's jump into our consumer goods and our statistics screen. And in the statistics screen, I'm just opening up my phone's calculator really quickly. We're going to have a look at what we need for fish. So the current demand, actually, I suppose we have to delete the houses and then we can see. Oh, no, we don't. We don't, actually. I have an idea. We can open up a farmer tier house and just say...
Keep doing it.
Well, I guess it's the same thing as deleting them, really, but we might as well just pause it anyway. So I'm going to pause this, going to pause that, say don't consume any of this stuff, but keep consuming the market, keep consuming the pub. So our population is going to start falling. But now we can see the actual amount that we need. So we need 9 tons. Tobias arrives every 20 minutes. This is everything here is per minute. So we're making, the blue bar is production. The blue bar is consumption. The green bar is production. If your green bar is bigger than your blue bar, you're okay. If you want to just boil it down to very simple stuff. But obviously, if you want to get closer to actually figuring out the math, it's quick enough just to do it this way. So we know that he arrives every 20 minutes. That's 9 times 20. So we need to make at least 180 tons of fish, right? Or get it from Captain Tobias. But he takes a little bit of time to actually bring his ship in. So we'll just round it up to 200. 200 should be fine. So let's have a look in here. And we'll throw in soap into everything. Soap is what we're going to be exporting. And we're going to list this as 200. Press enter. It's only going to cost us 43. Of course, soap is a tier 2 good. I know that it says like exporter level legendary. It was a tier 1, but we have gold as tier 1 over in Lusk. If we flip to Lusk, Lusk is doing work out there, which is great. But we're going to keep soap tier 2. And deliver as much soap to this island as possible so that it can ship stuff out and just immediately get things in, thus cutting down on a lot of trade routes as well. You might be like, well, what? Yeah, you know, why not put the soap out here or whatever, right? It's so that we cut down on the amount of trade routes we need. So in the long run, it saves. It saves both time, the amount you need, and also influence. Right, anyways, so that's schnapps done. We'll try to be a little bit quicker now. So now we need...
How thrilling.
So that was
Our
fish done.
personage has arrived.
So for schnapps, we want 11 times... Actually, you know what? Schnapps, I believe, goes to rush as well. So we need 15. Almost tripped me up there. So 15 times... what was it, 20? Is going to be 300. Add a little bit extra, 320. Boom. So it's going to take 119. And then bread, which is at the uncommon level, meaning 1.2 exchange ratio for them, which means it's a bit rough for me to get in. We'll have to see what we're consuming. So that should be the same because we haven't changed anything. And the workers, we're not going to get rid of any workers. So the consumption rate at the moment is 6. So 6 times 20. Something like 120, right? And add a little bit to that. Maybe make it 140. And there we go. So that's everything we need. Hopefully, I can't quite remember if anything's moving around on trade routes to do with these, but I don't think so. So that should be fine. So we'll get that in 20 minutes. That's going to come in. So now we're free to start tearing down all of these poor houses and saying goodbye to them. We'll have one last look at them, I guess, before we get rid of it. Because I really love this area. It's quite a historical site. You know, I can see people in the comments that basically want to preserve it or move it. But no, maybe on Crown Falls one day I'm going to have that big industrial farm out there that I plan on it. But now with Docklands, we don't even need this stuff. We can just bring it in and import it. But we'll have some farms just to make things look nice. And in Docklands, we'll probably specialize in bottom tier goods like farm goods. Alright, so let's begin. I'm just going to start from here. We're going to get rid of all the ornaments this side of the river. It's going to get rid of the wall here as well, but that's okay. And then basically just say see you later to all of this stuff. Good night. Oh, it feels bad, man. There's some people spinning around on the road like, what just happened? Alright, that's gone for now. Now, we've got some farmer tier residences down here. Just gonna say see you later to those guys. And we're gonna move these ones over. They weren't gonna grow because we turned off the consumption rates, so. Okay. Don't need these guys. Say see you later. Alright, massive amounts of destruction and demolishing going on. I don't want to time-lapse this. We'll time-lapse the actual build that we plan on doing later. And don't worry about the road. We can just connect that back up here. Is this something blocking me here, apparently? There we go. Alright, time to destroy the very first thing we ever built, which is Potato Village. And we had good old Alexander Hancock working in there, working his little heart out. It's time to retire. This is a good way to save the influence as well, actually, thinking about it. Getting rid of these, I might just keep that building, actually. Good way to get rid of all these trade unions that we're not going to use anymore. Alright, that's phase 1, and then phase 2. By the way, holding shift, like, will get rid of ornaments, but it's not getting rid of roads as well. I am holding shift, it just doesn't get rid of everything. Alright, that's all gone. Next phase, get rid of all this. We don't need any of that fish anymore, that's all gone. Wood can go. Just gonna move the fire station somewhere up here. I don't believe we have one, so just do that for now. The vineyards we're gonna keep. Vineyards are kind of a bit more upper class, so we'll keep them, but I'm just gonna cut them so that we can move them later and keep those tractor barns safe for later use. Oh yeah, I forgot about all my apple trees. Okay, good. Looking good so far. St. James's Gate. It's gone. I'm sorry. It's gone. Forget it. Just forget it. Put it out of your mind. It's gone. Again, look how much influence we're saving. And we don't need any of this stuff anymore. Because Docklands is OP. Alrighty. Next one is then all of this. So let's just do this in one big go. Because I'm going to get rid of... Yeah, we're getting rid of all this. Oil can go. Fuel stations can go. All of it can go. Don't want it anymore. Because it will be a... I'll just zoom out to make sure I'm not doing anything too crazy. Yeah. Damn. Okay. Like, we'll need fuel stations in future. You could just move it to the side, but we've such a big area to develop. I just want to clear a lot of space. And it'll make sense soon why that's the case. Alright, look at all this space we have to work with. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of sad, though, as well. So much time to put into this, but we got to keep up with the times, you know? It's not 1800 anymore. It's like 1890 by this stage. We've got tractors. We have airships, for God's sake. Times, they are changing. Alright, are we good? I think we're good. This can just all go. Alrighty, so there we go. Totally cleared out, pretty much. We're going to leave those vineyards there for future. But they'll be offline for a while. We've plenty of grapes and everything, so it's not a big deal if we run it. Plus, money is no issue, so, you know, no big deal if we run out of champagne for a while. I think they'll live, the investors. Alright, crazy though. Look at it. Totally blank slate. Ready for us to start building. We just have our one little scholar household. So, my plan here is to basically build the palace. So we've got another big thing to look at and see what it's all about. So we have the palace. The palace is not only a unique symbol of your empire's grandeur, but a place to improve and elevate your favorite city. Attractiveness 150. So there's you know, people make good points. Cape Trelawney has this huge amount of attractiveness because of the mountains there and stuff, all this natural attractiveness. In fact, might as well just go look at it. Culture and culture is our stuff, but nature is just stuff that's there by default. Dream destination, all of that. Culture is all those things that we have. Our place's nature is just much smaller, and it's going to be eroded away as we build more and more stuff up. So it is true, it's much harder to build a palace, but it's not impossible to get it up to the position where you need it. So let's build it, and I'll show you what I mean by why we want attractiveness. So for now, let's just stick it anywhere just here. We'll move it later. Bit anticlimactic because it's not in the final resting place for it just yet, but think of it almost as a blueprint where we can just look at what it does. It is a beautiful building, though. And it gets adorned with your own flags and stuff, which is nice. Which you can see at the front. Alright, cool. So the palace. Essentially how... Oops, just kind of bit my tongue there for a sec.
So brave, and so many.
Essentially how this works is based on our population, we're given different amounts of palace wings. So we have 38 modules we can add on to this. This is what I was talking about bricks. These things require a hefty amount. Especially if you're going to build 38 times 20 bricks for each one. We're up to 1,600 bricks right now, though. So, building out the wings like this, you can just build them out modularly. There's lots of different variations. Well, 9 different variations in total. The most interesting one is this one, in my opinion, the arch, which actually allows a road to go through it, which is why we're going to build the scholars inside of the palace and create this sort of Oxford-style campus, where you don't know where the campus ends, the palace begins, the museum starts, or whatever. It's going to be a real cultural... What's the word? I can't think of the word, but cultural, like, massive cultural thing that people want to go see. God damn, I can't think of the word. But anyway, I want to say milestones, but that's not what I'm thinking of. You guys can tell me, as always, what I'm thinking of. So yeah, so basically how it works in terms of gameplay, a palace, based on how many wings it gets, will extend its reach. So right now it only reaches over to there, but I think when we build 38, it'll probably have reach of the entire island, I would assume. I feel like this one song is just playing on repeat. I'm just gonna hop regions for a second. Okay. So anyway, the reach is important because it's all about reaching town halls. So if you reach a town hall, it extends buffs that happen in the palace to the town halls. So you know the way town halls can only have 3 items in it? It's like making those items more powerful based on if you can reach it or not. Now you might notice we don't actually have a road coming out from here, so we're not actually touching it right now. But what we can do is put in policies into each thing. So if we go to the overview menu, the palace works on attractiveness. So if you can get it all the way up to 9,000 attractiveness, you unlock all of these different buffs. So we have this little line right down here that's moving along.
A special edition for a special happening. This makes everybody happy.
Special. Alright, unveiling of palace heralds government's ambition for more efficient lawmaking. Exchequer refuses to reveal how extravagant building costs will be paid for. You know what, I didn't even look at it. It cost $1 million, we just threw that down. That's how rich we are right now. See page 6 for our own Walker Hogger's daring crown jewel pawn theory. Anyways, as it becomes more and more attractive, we unlock more buffs to use. The pips are in the center, by the way, so if you hover over it, you see that second line go up. So to get to this one, for instance, we need 1,750 attractiveness. If we need this one, we need 5,950, very specific numbers. But yeah, so that's how it works. So you get all these different things in the 5 different departments. Department 1, administration. If we were to, so you can see everything here, we could say 30% reduced need for all foods. So if we were to link this, for instance, to the scholars with a town hall, and we activated that, you can only activate one, and it's connected to a town hall, it means that everyone around that town hall has reduced needs 30%. They consume less fish, sausages, bread, canned food, chocolate, and seafood stew. Seafood stew. So that's perfect. That's exactly what you want for instance, the scholars. If we were to build up our attraction, we could go with something else. You know, attractiveness from each town hall, which is kind of like a... I can't think of the word again, but it's like, you could bottom out your economy kind of thing. It's like, this will give us attractiveness, which then puts us further along the actual... It's a chicken and egg thing. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Choosing that boosts your attractiveness. If you were to then turn that policy off, you could fall down and lose benefits. You could even lose the benefit that you just got, for instance. So, kind of, I suppose. Depends on other things. But yeah, so that's essentially how it works. So I don't want to dwell too much more on it. A lot of people watching, I'm sure, know how this works. But for those who don't, that's how it works. The different departments basically cover different types of things, different policies. Each one has 5. You can only ever activate one. The one I like a lot is museum influence per museum module. So a museum module costs you 10 influence. If you activate this, you get that 10 influence back every time. So I think I might end up using that. Or cultural sets give you 250 attractiveness. So if we have like 4 items that are all part of a set, we get that. Labor is going to help with trade unions specifically, welfare, etc. We don't really need to look through everything right now because we're not fully building it just yet. Anyways, the other interesting thing then is you can then build what's called a local department on other islands. So you can't build, you can only build one palace, ever. I actually don't know about different regions. I'm assuming, yeah, one profile. Okay, yeah, so even in different regions. But then we can build local departments. Now, a local department will basically, can only have one per island. And it'll basically be specialized to just one department. So you put down a local department, and you name it like, oh, we're going to call it the labor one, or designate it as the labor one. So it'll get whatever the labor benefit is within its range. So it's like extending it elsewhere, but the range is nowhere near as big as this thing. So it's kind of like extending onto other islands, just like little bits if you want. Anyway, so that's basically it. It's really interesting kind of DLC, but it's kind of like a collectathon and a min-max thing. Really, it's like how big can you get your attraction up to? I think the most I ever got up to was 5,000, so I'll try to get to 9,000, but with an island this small, it's going to be really tough. But I'm sure with items and stacking buffs and town halls in the right place and different things, I'm sure we can do it. Because this DLC is designed where you might not have Crown Falls. You know, people often forget. When I was talking about Docklands, people were like, oh, well, you know, it's going to get, the DLC will be not as OP or it'll be needed for what's coming later. It's like, well, yeah, but some people might just buy that on its own. So you gotta think of things individually, as well as part of the season pass or as part of all the DLCs, you know. Anyways, okay, so I think we're ready to get started. So we have our Captain Tobias coming in. I'm just gonna look at my notes and see what else we need to do next. Other than that, nothing really. We just want to make sure we're always spending research points on something. 650 there. Maritime commerce or maritime technologies. And then hopefully we can make items like engines and things to make our ships go faster. So I think I'll get building now. It's going to be a long time lapse, but the idea here is that we're going to have something like this. Oh my god, that was a million, was it? Or a lot, anyway. It looked like a million, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so what we're going to end up doing then is just smashing these out in a different way and building as many as we can. The reason I say this might have to be done over multiple episodes is because I can only build 38 modules. I think I need slightly more. But it should be enough to still make it look really nice at first, and we can always just add the rest in later. We get more based on how big our population grows. So the next one we get 2 more wings when we get to 40,000. And I had a look in the wiki. I think I'm roughly aiming to get about 50 wings in total. Which I think is around 50,000 populations. It's nothing too crazy. Alright, I keep saying that. I don't know if there's anything else I really need to deliver on. I think we just want to get building, don't we? And then we can like lay out our scholars and decide what they need. I think that's what I'll do. Alright, so this is probably going to be a long one. It might be the rest of the episode, so I'll see you on the other side. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this was a particularly fun one to build, although it did take a tremendous amount of time and planning as well. So the first thing I had to decide was, where is this place going to go, how big is it going to be, and how many houses can we kind of fit inside of it and everything like that. So I decided that the northwestern coastline that you're seeing right here will be reserved almost entirely for tourism. Now tourism is going to be a DLC that's coming later down the line with Season 3, and we don't necessarily know the specifics of how it's going to work, but we do know there's going to be hotels and bus routes, and obviously I'm assuming anyway, ornaments that go along with like touristy things. Hopefully maybe something for the beach itself, which would be quite nice. Anyway, the first thing I was kind of struggling with here was actually lining it all up. I have a planning document, and initially I thought the public mooring matches the kind of width of the Clearwater Pool or the palace or whatever, just where it lines up, but it actually doesn't. It's off-center a little bit, which is unfortunate. But like I said, hopefully with tourism, maybe something we can build will make it look a bit nicer later down the line. Anyway, decided to put down that Clearwater Pool there, the largest ornament in the game. People get off the boat, they're greeted by that majestic ornament and then the palace right behind it. And the bison want to get in through that archway as quick as possible. So normally I avoid symmetry almost as much as I can, because you want to have an organic city kind of layout. You know, it makes it look like the city naturally grew as people moved there and it developed and it grew over time. But within a bespoke architectural marvel such as the palace, this was obviously designed to be a certain way, so you can make it symmetrical and it looks much more fitting that way. So that's what I decided to do. So it's largely going to be symmetrical, but you can see I'm building out this right side, which actually just has a fence going around it. And the reason for that is that we won't be able to fit every scholar house within the palace grounds itself, but they're kind of going to be on this extension out the side, kind of guarded by that fencing rail. And then maybe in future, if we want to get if the palace does grow, we can maybe extend it out that way. But I think for the fence is actually going to work really well, and we'll zoom in on it a bit later to show you that it really doesn't actually allow for any gaps to let people through. But anyway, one of my favorite things to do with the palace here is those archways. You know, they actually allow for roads to go in, which is why I decided, oh, we can actually build a town within the actual palace. So I think that's a really kind of, I haven't seen that done. I'm sure people have done it, but I haven't seen it done. So I think that's a really cool concept. But you can see that every now and then when I stop and I'm looking at something for a while, it's because I'm either referencing my planning document, which is either wrong, or I got something wrong in the actual build of it. So we're just laying out the dirt roads here, just because if I do need to make a mistake, it's not as expensive, obviously, as wasting bricks for the paved roads. And we'll go over it once I've got the layout kind of sorted. Now, I decided at the center of our palace here, we're going to have a museum. Because the museum basically is kind of like an educational building in a way. I think it fits the scholars quite nicely, rather than a zoo, which can be a bit more playful maybe. I mean, you can study animals, but I feel like it's just a bit more playful. The museum is a bit more palatial, I guess you could say, or regal, perhaps. There's also the botanical garden, which I was thinking of maybe putting outside the front of the palace as the sort of palace gardens, as it were, which I think could also look really, really cool. So I might do that. I haven't decided where that might go, but I think in front of the scholars out on the right side there would be great for a big botanical garden. As you get off the boat, you can go out to the palace gardens, maybe get into the scholars that way. But anyway, so the museum is there in the center. I'm just wrapping around the 38 modules that we have available. I do think I need roughly about 50 in order to actually complete the place the way I want it to. I was noticing something just wasn't adding up here, and I was trying to figure out what it was. It's basically that I don't need that road, and I'm just going to build the palace walls right next to it. We don't need a road around the back of those houses, and instead it's just going to be a walkway, which will look much nicer, I think. So I'm obviously watching this time-lapse back the way you guys do, and I just talk over it. I can't quite remember absolutely everything, so I'm kind of just reacting to it as it happens, and I'll talk about things as I remember what I was thinking and doing. Here, you can actually see me putting down that fence and changing the ornament so that the fence ties all the way up against the wall. So you'll never see people, you know, skipping in and around. So if to get into the palace, they have to go through the archways. And later on, you'll see I place down ticket booths and things like that kind of makes sense for people gaining access to the place. I think also the music pavilion there at the back is going to be really great, especially when we get different music to add in. I currently have just one of the soundtracks. I think it's the 2070 one, which is nice. It's just a very solemn and sad song. I'm hoping to get one of the other ones. I've added in the gas-fired power plant, and then the university is on the opposing side. So again, not fully symmetrical, but you know, it's not like two universities are on either side. It's not exactly a carbon copy of each other, but largely it is quite symmetrical. Where the scholar houses goes are symmetrical. But anyway, that gas-fired power plant actually needs its own supply warehouse, which I decided to put outside, just at the front of the palace, so that's going to be feeding in. So now that the layout's largely set, I built the scholar houses, built the university, and I'm going to be filling in the paved roads now, because the roads are largely set in stone, no pun intended. And I meant to say about the gas-fired power plant, it looks like we can probably sustain 2 of them on this island, so we might not actually need oil at all. Although we do make local oil here, so even if we did need a bit of it, we could probably just get the oil that's on this island, and that way we could just cut it off from the trade route altogether. I'm hoping that Cape Trelawney, aka Crown Falls or Crown Farms, will be a real big repository for oil, or not repository actually, more where people send their oil for all the big farms that are going to go out there. But anyway, that's every single module built now for the palace, and I've just filled in the rest with blueprints for where the next, you know, the wall is going to wrap around later. So now it's ornament time, right? We've put down the paved roads. I went out to Cape Trelawney there really quickly just to grab some monuments to bring back for the museum. I'm putting down lights now, which is why I've made the time dark. Didn't want too many, and I didn't want these to be too uniform, just every few tiles across where it made sense, trying to brighten up the place a little bit. A lot of the scholar houses emit their own lights and have their own, like, street lamps, and that's what I was saying before, which is there's no need to really put many ornaments around the scholar houses. They come with lampposts, benches, trees, and all of these other things, so it just doesn't make sense to have, you know, a front garden, because they already do. Anyway, speaking of the front of anything, at the front of the palace here, we have on the right side kind of a tourism style area, right? The Anno Tours building, the kind of global building the global ornament that kind of makes the place feel a little bit more worldly, I guess you could say. A telephone box for people to call their parents if they can't get in. I don't know. And then we've just got some fountains and things like that. So I wanted to dress it with the lovely ornaments that have like flower pots kind of at every gap in the roads. There's 4 ways in basically into this place at the front. So each one of them have 2 pots at the front. And then we have some flagpoles, some palatial columns. On the right side is the tourism, left side is the duck pond. And then inside we want to do some ornaments here for adding in those World's Fair monuments. I'll talk about that a little later in the video. I don't know if it quite fits, but it kind of does. It's just the bricks are slightly different colors, so it makes it look a little strange. And then basically I was just checking over things, making sure I got all the ornaments in place that I wanted. And now I'm building up I realized I don't actually have the corners, so I had to go back, grab the corner modules from the engineer district and slam them down here to make the columns look a bit nicer. So there we go, I basically just delivered some of the items that we have for the museum itself, and that's bumped up the attraction value a lot, so now we have new policies that we can enact within the palace. So yeah, like I said, this clear water pool area, I don't know if it needs a fence around it. It obviously works pretty well if you just let the roads go straight into the... Actually, that looks pretty good. Maybe I will leave the double road there in future. And when I just saw that now, I was like, actually, that wasn't too bad. I think I get a little bit bogged down and think, oh no, you know, it's not looking right. But if you take a step back, it can look pretty good. But anyway, yeah, so adding in the columns now into the back of the museum. So the museum grounds, the reason I've left so much bare space is because I wanted to have this feeling of like, the scholars come out, there's places to sit, enjoy the music, see the different, what do you call it, sites, I guess, like the different monuments and museum modules. So that was the kind of idea there. Yeah, so put down a pizzeria, put down a bakery, oh no, sorry, a drink stand and a pizzeria with all the kind of single tables that actually match the exact table that comes with that ornament, which is really nice. So you can make the place look really similar. And then just to break up the kind of paving, I have that mosaic paving, so I kind of dotted them around every 2 or 3 tiles as well. Just to kind of break it up, make it look a little bit more ornately designed. And then every few tiles I was also adding in piazza benches, just the little benches that fit the actual base tile as well. On this side next to the power station, I decided that it'd be kind of cool because the supply comes in this way. So I was like, oh, maybe this is where like the market would be for maybe scholars to go out and get their food, get their lunch, whatever it might be. So basically a little farmer's market in a way out there with some seats and things for people to sit and enjoy their food. Perhaps thinking about it though, maybe it would make more sense to have restaurants instead of market stalls, I don't know. Then at the front here, I just noticed there was a lot of bare space, so I decided to put down 2 of the anchor ornaments, and when you rotate them, they actually kind of like look really good together. And then in the center, we have these specific billboards that you can only get from the World's Fair, not the billboard that you get from the Ubisoft Club. And those billboards actually have like little messages on them, so I think it looks kind of cool outside the palace, because it's kind of like information before you go in. And then just place down the town hall. I think the word I was looking for is frat house. Later on, I'm going to be struggling to think of the word frat house. I've got it. And then I was just basically tying up some roads to the different districts to see if we could actually get the different benefits. So obviously the palace needs to reach town halls. So when I linked up the roads, it does have the range to reach both town halls in the artisan district and the engineer district. But I'm going to end up building engineers all around the palace anyway. They're going to move. So that should be no problem in future. It'll be more about getting them to the investor district, which is the furthest one away. And speaking of, I'm just quickly laying out some buildings here to reach 10,000, and that's going to be it for the end of this time-lapse. Can't wait to see what people think. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the end of the time-lapse. I've sort of built to the upper limit I can for scholar residences at the moment. We're going to need another campus extension permit, which we can actually get. With the amount of scholars we have now, our limit has increased to 5,000 research points is the amount we can store, which is actually the required amount to get most of the kind of interesting things that you can do, the major discoveries in the Research Institute.
We'll have it back soon enough.
So if we have a quick look at one of our scholar residences, we can see how we're faring. We obviously have the university requirement fine. Canned good and tailored suits is actually fine as well, although not necessarily. It looks that way, but we're not actually producing stuff. We haven't actually planned for it, I guess you could say. We just have some lying around in storage, and canned goods, we are making it, but probably not enough for the amount of scholars we've just obtained. So in the next episode, we're going to be sorting out production chains again, and figuring out what we can do to raise the population within the houses, that we currently have and maybe get a few extra ones as well. We're going to have to start trying to deliver them their leather boots. They've got some rum and bowler hats. We actually have a total abundance of bowler hats back in... oh, the audio just cut out for a second. We have a total abundance of bowler hats back in the New World, so it shouldn't be a problem supplying them here. They just sit there full capacity in the New World at the moment. I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. I know it's a little bit strange, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but what I kind of plan on doing is then filling out these areas with engineers. You know, really bringing the engineers down here to kind of link up with this area, and then just filling up the island whatever way we can with either farms or whatever other production we need, or more population, whatever it needs. Obviously, the vineyards have to go somewhere along the river, probably. So there's still more to be done, and we obviously want to redesign the investor district. These investors, we've actually got 10,000 now, by the way. I kind of snuck that in there. I just added a few extra houses. So with 10,000 investors, I want to redo this area and have a really nice promenade that leads up to it, big bridge that crosses over into the engineer district and stuff like that. So I think it's starting to come together. This is just the first piece of the puzzle. So it looks a bit bare and blank around it right now, but if we just look at the area itself, I think it's looking quite good, at least in my opinion. We could do a little walk around it. I just want to see, maybe we should just quickly run a World's Fair event. Hopefully we still have 10,000 actually. Architectural map, yes we do. So I'm going to confirm that. Let's see what we need. Champagne, tortillas, felt, chocolate, and cigars. So we have everything except for the tortillas and the champagne. We're going to have to ramp up the production for that, or we could just import some. If I don't do it now, I will forget. He's actually here in a minute, so we got to do this right now. 190 tortillas, 150 champagne.
But slow.
Don't know if we can actually get tortillas. We'll have to see. Tortillas, tortillas, tortillas. Yes, we can. What can we get rid of? Maybe just grain? Don't need it anymore anyway. 150. I know we don't quite need 150. We have some already. And my memory is so good that I may have already forgotten the first thing. Yep, I've totally forgotten it. Isn't that amazing? Champagne. There we go. Well, we want to get more than we actually have, if we can. Are we selling champagne? That's a problem, because then we can't actually bring it in. No, I don't think we can get it. Yeah, we can't get it yet. We need more export-import things. We're just going to have to try and produce it. Maybe stop sending it away. That's going to hurt our beer production, but whatevs.
A competitor's island.
I'll have to check that in between episodes. Let's just bring that up to 300 and get rid of all of the grain. At least that way we won't run out of beer too quick. I'll have to make a note of that, actually, to change that in the future. But that's good. What's really cool now is if we go to the palace itself, I think we can turn one of these to say, like, give us an extra... So there's +1 influence for engineer residences. So we have 152 influence right now. Let's see how much we got. 201. Not bad. Not bad at all. But we'll leave it like this for now. We don't need the influence right now. Yeah, that's what I was just wondering if I had that active. We have the Cultural Outreach Act. So bonus rewards from the World's Fair. If the Embessa delegation to the fair is to receive additional acres, it's only right that the offer should be extended to all. So that's nice. It's good to have on while we have the World's Fair on, so then we can just immediately get it. I think you can actually get it right at the end as well. So like as the World's Fair is coming to a close, you can just activate that, I think, and it works. At least it used to. I haven't tested it. Anyways, I kind of see this as a little chapter house here. I can't remember the term for, like... You've got sororities for girls, right? But I can't remember what it's called for guys. Don't know why I remember what it's called for girls and not guys, but I'm just going to call this a chapter house. But yeah, I'm sure the comments will let me know. But essentially, that's kind of what I see this as, in a way, because it's the exact size as a regular scholar house. And with the new permit, we'll start to fill all of this out. Right now, we have 3 items available to us in there. A lineman who's going to give us max residence, 15%, bonus happiness when they have telephones and radios. So we don't get that at the moment. And then we get bonus residence +9 when you have telephones and radio. Again, we don't have that yet, but at least we still get the max residence 15%, so we get a little bit extra without having to have those other needs. Affects scholar residence, max residence 15% again. They gain residence from bonus from tailored suits and leather boots. So we have tailored suits, not the boots, so we're getting a little bit extra there from the amazing fashion designer. And then the attractiveness bonus, 5 per household. So unfortunately, this house is just that tiny little bit not in. I tested it. If I move this over 1, which I could cut the street, that will be in range, but it doesn't look right. I'm not going to do it. So before you say that I can move it, I'm aware we're just going to have to leave that house out in the cold. So just to really quickly go through this now in a bit more close-up detail, let's maybe go into postcard mode. I don't know if I'm going to walk around the thing directly. The idea here is that we'll have some sort of nice tourism things, maybe hotels in future with some DLC. That's coming in Season 3, so maybe hotels or something like that alongside the Clearwater Pool as we lead into then the Palace. Look at that, the World's Fair in the distance, looks awesome. Admittedly, far away from where people come in, but they venture through the town. We'll have a nice guided promenade that leads all the way up there. But anyway, the idea here is we have, of course, the Clearwater Pool, and then on the right side is kind of where people buy their tickets if they want to go to the museum. So we have a little ticket booth there on the kind of right side of the archway. And then obviously the Anno tours for guides and information and things like that. Telephone, make some important calls, etc. And then we have the kind of monument that kind of, in my opinion, always represents like tourism because it's like a globe and things like that. So I think that's kind of cool. I might actually stretch out that fountain now thinking about it, the one at the back there. So in the center, we've got some palatial columns and some of the extra flags that I've added in. I think it works well because there's flags built into the palace, so having the extra ones standing out, it seems to fit quite nicely. Looking at them now, though, did you spot the error? They're backwards. Let's turn them around. There we go, a little bit better there. What about these ones? They're also backwards. How embarrassing. Anyway, then on this side, instead of the tourism, we just have like a duck pond. I think it looks quite nice. A little bit of nature around the area. There's no trees that have the paving base to them, which is a shame because the artisans now have that, you know, the dockland stuff. And there's some really nice trees that have like a potted plant area at the bottom. If we just test it out here. Like that thing. I would love to be able to just grab that potted plant with the little benches, people sitting on. I don't know how you got out there, but I'd love to grab one of those and just bring it over here and put them on these tiles because it would look really nice that way to have these potted plants in the paving. Anyway, small little minor gripe. Hopefully with the ornament update they're talking about in the future, we might get that. Anyway, so that's kind of the front of the palace. And obviously we have people all the way up in the very top of it here. Really awesome details when you just sit and like pay attention to it. Looks really cool. Anyway, into the town, or yeah, I guess it is a town, into the campus. I like to think of this place as a big campus, like a big Oxford, kind of modern Oxford, or not modern, I guess, but just an Oxford-style campus, right? In between the governmental buildings, law buildings, and things like that, and then we have actually the scholar residences who live here as well and learn here, of course. So as we come in, we have just like, I have to decide if I need to add more things here. I'm not really too sure what to add yet, so I've just added some benches and some lampposts and things, so at nighttime it looks kind of nicer because we've got some brightened up streets and stuff as well. We'll just go back to daytime for now. But anyway, yeah, so as we come in, we're obviously greeted by just amazing looking historical monuments as we come into the central museum area here. And like I said, they kind of pay for their tickets for this museum outside, which is why I wasn't like, oh, it needs to be all cordoned off. I'm allowing it to be open because I like to think, you know, they pay on their way in. And of course, you're not going to mess with palace guards. They'll figure it out if you're skiving your way in. It's actually cool. Sorry, I'm just a bit distracted. We have actually some of the scholars and graduates outside of the palace here. I gotta say, I'm really impressed by... I'm just so impressed by this game in so many ways. But one way I'm super impressed by it is that the crowd technology is so amazing. Like, you don't get scholars walking around, like, down... Well, let's just double check. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think you get them walking around down here, for instance. You know? I could have put those scholars anywhere, and they don't really stay... like that local to their building. That's pretty far out that they ventured away from their houses out here, out to the front. At least to me, it seems. So it's just nice to see that. This building is in permanent state of being highlighted. I'm just going to move away and come back. Maybe that'll fix it. Nope. I don't know how to make it not highlighted. Let's see. Copy. Nope. That doesn't do it, no? God, I don't know. That's a weird bug. Oh, maybe it's because there's something to look at. I'm not too sure. I don't know why it's doing that. Typically, it does that when you hover over it and then you hide the UI, and then it does this, like, it kind of forgets that you're hovering over it. That's really annoying. Oh well, okay. I'll just have to leave it. I'm sure it'll go away when I reload. But it's just, that's why it's like so bright right now. It shouldn't be like that bright. It's highlighted, so you know, it should be much darker. But oh well, can't do anything about it. At least I don't know how. Anyway, as we get further in here, we have the gas-fired power plant and then little market stalls outside of it. That is walled off because it's a little bit of a dangerous thing. But at the front, obviously, it has to kind of stay open for the deliveries. But then, yeah, there's like a little market here. I thought it'd be kind of cool where people go and get their food. Maybe it's like the market. I mean, literally, when I went to college, there was this like kind of farmer's market outside, which is pretty nice. You can go get snacks and stuff. And then, yeah, basically we just have the actual central theater in a way where it's playing music. We have at the back of the university kind of gardens that lead into the museum. I think that works really well. I added these World's Fair monument things here. I think... oh, the music's gone again. This game is just so destabilizing again. Maybe it doesn't quite fit, I don't know, but I kind of like it all the same. We have the drinks shack and the pizza shack and some tables and chairs and stuff for people to sit around. I love this particular one. It's like bar stools. It comes from a specific pack. Which one is it? It's the amusement pack, yeah. Weirdly, it's not in the City Light one. It's in the amusement bar table, which is actually meant for like when you have like the Ferris wheel. So these are other things we could add. These have some nice attraction value to them as well. Maybe in future, excuse me, we'll add these. But yeah, that's basically it. I haven't decided. I'd like to actually have proper sets in terms of the museum modules here, and we've room for 2 more. So that would be, how many is that? 2, 4, 6, and 8. So some of them have sets of 4, so maybe 2 sets of 4 we can get some bonuses activated here. That'd be kind of nice. Oh no, they don't have 4. It's 3 and 6. Huh. Oh, that's annoying. Because we have 8, right? If we had 9, that would make sense. Maybe I could make room for 1, maybe. I mean, you could get rid of the musical pavilion, maybe, and put 1 down. Things wouldn't line up that well, though. I'll think about it. But anyway, yeah, so we could definitely at least get 1 set. Well, we could get 2 sets. We could have 6, and then just 2 extra ones for eye candy. Or we could just have 6 and leave the 2 gardens, actually, thinking about it. So yeah, maybe it would work out just fine. Anyway, over on this side then, as you come out through the triple archway area, you get to the actual research institute itself, which is currently... Oh, I meant to be studying the major discovery, another campus extension. We actually have 5,000 points now. Like, did I say that? I can't remember if I said that. Anyway, we have 5,000 points now, which means we can get pretty much any of the major discoveries. We just need 1,000 engineers available to kind of work it. So that's going to be the next goal, the next couple of episodes. Level up our scholars, make sure we can sustain those 10,000 investors, and get to that extra 1,000 workforce of engineers as well. So a little tricky because obviously some of the production chains are going to require more engineers, so it's going to take a while to bring that all up to snuff. But yeah, so then we'll be able to hopefully move clay deposits, move oil springs, change ores and fertilities if we want. We could produce coffee here in the old world, potentially. I've never done that either. Or rum or cotton if we wanted to. So that'd be nice. It'd be cool if you could, if artisans do it, because we've got too many artisans. So that'd be actually pretty cool if we could manage that. So yeah, let's just go with this. It only takes 1,000 at the moment. The cost will increase, and then we can assign 350 engineers to the job. By default, it only needs 1, but we can shave about a minute off if we add 350. There we go. I guess players are really, really good where they're like, oh yeah, add 10,000, but I'm not at that stage. But 350 I'm pretty happy with. There we go. Alright, so we had a quest to donate something to science and then to craft something. So let's craft something. Item development. We'll just craft something super basic. Although we have 4,000 points, and does it cost... This actually does cost workforce to make. But that's cool, we can make Barbarossa's bones. Let's go cultural item. Let's make a silverback gorilla, or procure one. Oh my god, my game is destabilizing fast. 500 for that. Okay, let's just go with something a little bit easier. Line of Selamawi. We learned lots about that previously, so... There can only be 1 item in development. Ah, right, okay, we can't then. Although this is instant, isn't it? I think? I feel like it is. Let's test it out. I'm gonna cancel this thing really quickly.
Then we'll get hunting.
Oh no, it's not. It does take time. Oh. I didn't know that. 44 minutes. Oof. I don't want to do that. Obviously, we want to do the extension. Right, well, I have to make sure I'm always on top of that, making sure that that's something that I'm doing all the time, because if it's based on cooldowns of timers and stuff, you might as well have it going all the time in the background. But yeah, at this rate, we're gonna build up 5,000 before this even gets done. So it's a bit weird that we're building up so much, but we can always spend it on getting new research all the time. So the next cost is 800. So yeah, we're working our way up to that right now. And you can see my engineers are fluctuating, but this area I particularly like as well. I actually use the workers tile, which is like hang on, let me just make it daytime again. The workers like concrete tile. It looks like it's slightly different variation, which is such a shame, but I kind of at a glance, you know, it's basically the same. And like I said, this is being highlighted right now, so it's throwing things a little bit off. But yeah, basically our little students out here are getting a lecture. They're having a little bit of extra grass. They're having a picnic out here. Looks good. This game looks incredible. It's so easy, I think, to put things together and make it look nice because of all the beautiful assets. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this particular design. I really like it anyway, but I know it's a bit weird with the empty space, like I said, so hopefully you guys are into it as well. And sorry for the audio issues I'm having. I've been recording for nearly 3 hours, so that's what happens, I guess, after a time. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. I look forward to reading your feedback, and then I'll be jumping into the next episode after that. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you want to support this series directly, you can click the join button to become a channel member. Doing so will get your name in the credits, as well as loyalty badges and emotes to use in the comments. If you don't see the join button, it means the video has been copyright claimed, but you can still join from the channel page on desktop. You can also link your account to our Discord to get a special role on there that will give you access to the Senate House and a few other perks.